Tonight on ABC's Primetime Live, co-anchor John Quinones takes the promising antioxidant therapy called Protandim.
It's not a drug. It's a supplement. It's called Protandim, and it's a combination of 5 exotic plants that have been around for centuries.
Quinones has been taking Protandim for 2 weeks now and tells Extra,
I am sleeping better. I feel a lot better and also energized when I do wake up.
Primetime puts Protandim to the test tonight.
You want to get an edge on turning back the clock with just a few pills? Who doesn't? Well, it's no longer science fiction, but science possibility, a potential breakthrough. As I found out firsthand, there may be a way to erase years, at least inside my body. Granted, it's down the road, but some scientists are wondering if a new pill I took might offer a very long life.
Inside this nondescript building, I'm about to become part of an exciting experiment. I'm here at the University of Colorado in Denver to meet Dr. Joe McCord, a world-renowned scientist.
This is pretty exciting stuff you're finding, huh?
It is. We're very excited about it.
His latest research could very well unravel the mystery of aging itself. And his decades of experiments may have the potential of adding years to people's lives and possibly prevent chronic diseases like cancer, diabetes, and heart disease. It all centers around this small yellow pill, and for me, it begins with a blood test. They want to check my levels of something called T-bars, which is a rough indicator of a person's actual age. T-bars can identify a condition known as oxidative stress, a kind of measure of the wear and tear on our bodies. Oxidative stress, like the rusting of an engine, is not a good thing.
Bad for the body.
Leading to disease.
Leading to disease and leading to malfunction, and importantly, leading to what we call aging. It is a slow progression of increasing oxidative stress. That's the main characteristic biochemically of the aging process.
The problem of aging begins with the very food we eat to give us energy. As our cells burn that food, they also release toxic chemicals. Those chemicals, you may know them as free radicals, react with all the components of our cells, literally bombarding them millions of times per second, damaging all our cells. The result? Oxidative stress. And we all have it. And so, here I go. With that swallow, I've just become part of a potentially landmark scientific experiment. It's called Protandim, and tests on both mice and humans have already shown that it revs up the manufacture of those good enzymes in our bodies. More enzymes, fewer free radicals to harm us.
Right now, all we know is that this preparation decreases oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is not a disease, just like aging is not in itself a disease, but it's something that accompanies and is attached to many disease processes.
Have you discovered the fountain of youth?
We may have discovered something that will tell us a lot more about how we age, what happens biochemically, and maybe how we can slow it down. And so you can see the age-related.
Normally, oxidative stress, measured by those T-bars, increases with age. But in Dr. McCord's tests, taking just one pill of Protandim a day reversed that trend for everyone at every age, even for an 80-year-old.
They all are reduced to the level of oxidative stress that one would expect, frankly, in a newborn or a very young child.
Back to the oxidative stress levels of a child? It sounds too good to be true. Will Protandim work on me?
The scientific evidence is there. The pieces seem to make sense. The question is, does this translate into something that humans can take advantage of?
So, just what's in this seemingly incredible pill? Well, actually, its roots are very humble. Protandim is a combination of 5 plant ingredients. Some you may know: green tea or turmeric, a spice used in Indian cooking. Others, Withania somnifera and Silybum marianum, are more exotic.
There's a huge human experience with each of these ingredients. They've been used often in traditional medicine in India and China and many other cultures, in some cases centuries and centuries.
And so, ancient Eastern healing and modern Western medicine may soon be working together. High oxidative stress is associated with more than aging. It's been linked to hundreds of illnesses.
It's at the very center of many diseases: liver disease, diabetes, emphysema, asthma, I've studied all of these: strokes, heart attacks.
Even mental disease,
Yes,
depression.
Alzheimer's disease, depression.
We make no claims about curing any disease or preventing any disease.
But what about my progress? After nearly 2 weeks now, it's time to get my results. Dr. McCord calculates the numbers. The result, my level of oxidative stress has declined dramatically.
45%, that's excellent.
Just look at where I fall on the graph, before and after.
Which, if extrapolated back, is the level you would see in a newborn baby.
Have we turned back the clock? Well, maybe not on the outside, but deep inside within my cells. Yes, indeed.
Cassie, come here. Cassie. Yeah. Cassie, be nice. Cassie. Hey. Hey, hey. Sit. Stalemate. Cassie, you go for a ride in the truck? Come on. Go. Go. Come on. Come on. All right. Good job. You got your stick, don't you?
Now that was different as night and day. Here's another video on a horse, and I think you'll find it quite remarkable as well. This video is a little bit hard to watch for some people, but it is important to see.
Our bodies are amazing machines, a machine that is constantly working to combat the environmental and biological stresses attacking it. We breathe in pollution. Our body works to filter it out. We get hot or cold. Our body works to regulate itself. We get sunburned, sick, or injured, and our body works to repair itself. But like any machine, just doing what it's designed to do eventually leads to wear and tear. And therefore, the longer it works, the less effective it becomes. It gradually begins to break down. And in the case of our bodies, we age. But what if that weren't the case? What if you could flip the tables so that as your body does what it's designed to do, it actually became more capable of dealing with environmental and biological stress? Sounds amazing, doesn't it? Well, you don't have to imagine it, because that world is here. Introducing LifeVantage, a publicly traded company at the forefront of nutrigenomics. Using nutrition and naturally occurring compounds to improve your gene expression for a healthier and potentially longer life. Our first breakthrough in nutrigenomics came with the discovery of the NRF2 protein, also known as the master regulator of the body's stress response. Aging and many of its unwanted problems are linked to the breakdown of our body's cells caused by oxidative stress, damage from an overload of free radicals. Our patented Protandem NRF2 synergizer stimulates the NRF2 protein, resulting in the body producing its own powerful, protective antioxidant enzymes, and is the only supplement proven in a clinical study to reduce oxidative stress in humans by an average of 40% in 30 days, therefore reducing lipid peroxidation to the level of a much younger individual. A recent peer-reviewed study from Washington State University calls NRF2 activation one of the most extraordinary therapeutic and preventive breakthroughs in the history of medicine. In a $3.4 billion antioxidant supplement industry, Protandem stands out as the key to making antioxidants rather than taking them. But there's another problem linked to aging that you need to fix: the breakdown of your mitochondria. Mitochondria are the powerhouses of your cells. They make adenosine triphosphate, the fuel that pumps your heart, supports muscle growth, and encourages healthy brain function. And because mitochondria are the source of 95% of your body's energy, as your mitochondria decay, so does your energy level. Protandem NRF1 Synergizer is a new breakthrough that supports mitochondria production and reverses the impact of cellular aging. When you combine both Protandem products, you reduce oxidative stress and help your body support mitochondria production so that you can have healthy, energetic, and youthful cells. Being the industry leader in NRF2 and NRF1 technology isn't the only reason we are at the forefront of nutrigenomics. Our next breakthrough was when we leveraged our unique knowledge of the NRF2 protein and developed an industry-first NRF2 enhanced skincare system, True Science. A multi-step regimen that takes years off your appearance with both instant and long-term anti-aging benefits. Our patented composition utilizes Nerf 2 technology and natural ingredients to bring back the youthful glow of beauty to your skin. And it is so effective, you won't believe the results until you try it for yourself. A further breakthrough in nutrigenomic research led to the formulation of Physique, a comprehensive approach designed to recharge and balance your body's natural weight management system. The Physique system supports optimal digestion and immune function and is a safe, long-term solution to burn stubborn fat from your waist. Combined with a balanced diet and exercise program, Physique is the smart way to meet your weight management goals. An additional breakthrough in nutrigenomics was when LifeVantage discovered a way to unlock your brain's potential with Axio Smart Energy. Axio is a brain performance product with ingredients specifically chosen to provide long-lasting power, enhance concentration and focus, without the crash from sugary beverages and snacks or the stressful jitters often experienced with energy drinks or supplements. Axio Smart Energy comes in regular or decaf. The power of our continuing nutrigenomics research led us to new discoveries in NRF2 activation in canines. And so we developed Canine Health, specially formulated to reduce oxidative stress through NRF2 activation. Canine Health supports joint function, mobility, and flexibility in man's best friend. Our insatiable appetite to understand the power of nutrigenomics has led to breakthrough products that have been highlighted on national television networks like ABC, NBC, and PBS. They have also been reported in the Wall Street Journal and in peer-reviewed studies published in major medical journals. Our products stand out as leaders of innovation in the $37 billion supplement market, the $50 billion energy drink market, the $121 billion skincare market, and the $300 billion anti-aging industry, exclusively available through our independent distributor network. Ask the person who invited you to view this information how to purchase any of these products or how you too can build your own LifeVantage business and put nutrigenomics to work for you. LifeVantage, at the forefront of nutrigenomics.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome Dr. Joe McCord.
I feel good. I knew that I wouldn't. I feel good. I knew that I wouldn't. So good. So good. I got you. I feel nice.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here in San Diego again, and I want to thank all of you for being here. I don't know who that handsome dude is there from the sort of a George Hamilton skin tone going on. By the way, I was the best man. There was a groom on the other side of... but I photoshopped him right out of the picture. The picture's a little fuzzy, but after thinking about it, that whole decade was a little fuzzy. I have a couple of things to talk to you about today. And they're kind of related themes. They're both about staying tuned. And the first part of this was instigated by something that happened earlier this month, one of the science calls. I hope you all tune in for those when they happen. The one that happened earlier this month was two distributors, Skip Campbell and Dondi Nettles, emceed by Ben Seaman. And when I listened to that call, I was just absolutely struck by how well done it was. If you haven't heard it, I urge you to go to the website and listen to it. What they presented was firsthand, very personal views of what makes Protandim different and how each of you can go about using that information to get that message across to the people with whom you speak. It emphasized very, very strongly the value and the uniqueness of our peer-reviewed science. And several things came to light and really struck me during that presentation. And I thought, again, at the risk of being redundant, I didn't want to take anything away from the excellent job they did. One limitation was that it was an audio presentation, so they couldn't use visual aids. And I'm going to just reemphasize some of the things that Skip and Don covered with a little bit of visual enhancement for you. And I hope you take this right to heart and use it, because there's some very powerful tools available to you. And I want to make sure that you understand exactly what they mean and exactly what you can do with them. So the first part of this is stay tuned to LifeVantage. Stay tuned to this company. Why is that so important with this particular product? This product is different from many other products that are sold similarly. One of the earliest MLM products was from Tupperware. And you can pick up a Tupperware bowl with a snap-on lid, and it doesn't take you long to realize exactly what that is, how it works, and what it may mean in your life. And Tupperware literally changed the way most all of us do things. It was a really useful product, but one that's very easy to get your arms around. Protandim, on the other hand, is at the other end of the spectrum. It's a complicated product. If you haven't already figured that out, you will soon. And it's also a product that is not self-evident at the beginning. 5 years ago, my view of what Protandim is, what it does, was very different from my view today. In fact, my view today is very different from my view last week. And I'll point out how that changed. This is a changing canvas, and it's going to take some work on your part to keep up, just as it takes a lot of work on my part to keep up. So that's why staying tuned to the new information that comes to light is so important with this product in particular. The question that was raised in the science call was, what distinguishes Protandim from other products? And you've already heard this today from a couple of speakers, and it's worth reiterating and re-emphasizing. One of the major distinguishing features of Protandim is the peer-reviewed published science. And, you know, I have grown up literally for the past 40 years of my life dealing with the peer review process. And so to me, it's second nature. I don't even think about what those two words mean. But about a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago, I got an email from Ben Seaman. And he said, someone asked me, what does peer-reviewed really mean? And he wanted me to just explain it to him. And I sent him an email that had this text. And I don't expect you to read all that, too many words. That's more for me. But I explained in detail what those two words, peer-reviewed, really means. When scientists do a study, they write a manuscript describing it, and that manuscript is submitted to a journal for possible publication. And I say possible because you're by no means assured that your manuscript is ever going to be published in a reputable peer-reviewed journal. The journal editor selects 2 or 3 academic scientists who are well qualified to judge the quality of the work and the soundness of the conclusions that are drawn. Usually they are leaders or at least well-known contributors to the field of the science that's being submitted. They act as anonymous reviewers of the work. They're free to question anything and everything about that work. They're free to ask you to do additional experimentation. That frequently happens. They're free to question your conclusions. They're free to question your statistical analysis. This is scrutiny of the highest degree. The author must then respond to that critique from each of these reviewers until all their concerns are met. Sometimes that process takes 4, 5, 6 months, occasionally even longer. It can go back and forth a couple of times between the authors and the reviewers. The reviewers are anonymous to each other as well as to the authors, but they do get to see each other's comments. And often what one reviewer says, maybe in the first round, will be picked up by a second reviewer in the second round. And this thing goes back and forth until all the questions are settled and everyone involved agrees this is a sound, well-done study. All right, it takes a while just to describe that process, and trust me, it takes a long time to get through that process. In some journals, only 5 or 10% of the papers that are submitted to that journal are ultimately accepted and published. That's how rigorous the process is. And that's why peer-reviewed articles in reputable journals are much more reliable than something you Google from the internet, something you find on a blog that could be put up by absolutely any person on the planet with no review at all. That's why peer-reviewed articles are more reliable, more informative, and more dependable than what a company may publish itself on its own website. There's no peer review there. A company can say virtually anything unless it flagrantly violates a law, and then it might be taken off. Right? So peer-reviewed published papers really mean a lot. One of your most powerful tools and your single most informative resource is PubMed.gov. And again, this was talked about by Dondi Nettles extensively, how he uses this tool. And I would really like for all of you to get familiar with this. There are 10 characters to type in, PubMed.gov. All right? You type that in your browser, and what comes up is a screen that looks like this. It's just like a Google search. The difference is this is not searching everything that anybody and his neighbor has posted on the internet. This is searching the peer-reviewed, published biomedical literature, not just from this nation, but from the entire planet. Every journal that meets the qualifications, that conducts peer-reviewed publication of biomedical research, is included in this database that's run by the National Library of Medicine of the United States of America. PubMed.gov is your tax dollars at work, and it's probably one of the most efficient and useful uses of your tax dollars. There are many, but this is up there. And it's an outstanding contribution of this country to the well-being of the entire planet. Right? It works just like Google. So if you go bring up PubMed and you type in the search field something like protandem, and you hit enter, what you see is all of the publications specifically discussing protandem in the published peer-reviewed biomedical literature. And you might expect there would be hundreds because you may not have a feel for how this thing works. 6 is a very substantial number for where we are and how long we've been at this. Let me tell you, if you had done this search 1 year ago, there were 3. Right? So in the last year, this has doubled. There's a 7th waiting in the wings, and I hope soon you'll see a 7th paper there. These are independently funded for the most part. The first couple were funded by the company, and everything after that has been independent, funded by private agencies such as Parent Project Muscular Dystrophy, such as the American Heart Association, and from federal funding, such as the National Institutes of Health. If you click on any one of those publications, what you see is the entire abstract, right? And if you see the icon in the upper right of this screen, it says free full text PDF file, a reprint format of this paper. Again, that icon always appears if the research was funded, at least in part, by federal money. That is, your tax dollars also supported, in some part, this study on the effect of protandim on Duchenne muscular dystrophy. Because your tax dollars paid for it, you're entitled to download the full text research in a PDF file. And all 6 of the papers shown here have those downloadable PDF files available. If you go back to the initial screen and you type in, let's say, oxidative stress, you would find 81,000 hits. All right, that's a lot of research on oxidative stress. Protandim is aimed at reducing oxidative stress, but you can search more focused on the term protandim or more broadly on the term oxidative stress. If you type in oxidative stress and any medical condition that comes to your mind, you'll get, again, a number of hits. If you in this case, oxidative stress and dialysis, which is a procedure that people undergo when they're in kidney failure, you find an amazing 1,113 publications on oxidative stress and dialysis. You can focus even more tightly, if you want to, by searching a topic with NRF2. Again, protandim, and for newcomers in the audience, I'll explain what NRF2 is and what protandim does to it in just a moment. But here, if you do a search of cancer and NRF2, that is, what NRF2 activating agents do to cancer in various studies, 475 papers already, and this is rapidly expanding. I typed this in to make this screen capture a few days ago, and looking down the first few hits, the hits are arranged by the most recent. So what you see here is a paper that may have just been published within the last few days. And so this number is changing continuously. You see the most recent stuff first. And as I was looking at the results of this hit, I noticed one paper that really changed an important way that I have viewed protandim vis-a-vis cancer. And I discussed this with a number of you this morning, and this is a big topic, protandim and cancer patients. And this paper looks at not protandim, but curcumin, one of our ingredients. And curcumin in and of itself is a NRF2 activator. Protandim is greatly amplified. It works better than curcumin because we've got the synergy of the 5. But the mechanism is the same. Curcumin activates NRF2. Protandim activates NRF2 more strongly. And just look at the title of this paper, and I think this can speak to you. It's a little obtuse maybe, but you can look at that title and figure it out. Curcumin, the golden spice from Indian saffron. The researcher here is Dr. Agarwal from India, and he has a particular affinity, I think, for Ayurvedic medicine, for traditional medicine from India. He's at Baylor Medical Center in Houston, Texas, well known in the field of NRF2 activators. So curcumin is a chemosensitizer and radiosensitizer for tumors. What does that mean? Tumors are treated with chemotherapy and with radiation. The reason for treating tumors with those 2 treatments, and they both increase oxidative stress substantially, is that unlike most other therapies that you get from the doctor that tend to make your cells work better, these 2 are designed to kill cells, because your body, if you have cancer, contains cells that are rogue cells. They're out of control. They're multiplying, trying to overtake your body. And a concern has been, because chemotherapy and radiotherapy both increase oxidative stress in an attempt to kill cancer cells, there's been a controversy for a number of years. Is antioxidant therapy a good idea here? Because you may actually protect the cells that you want to kill. You're using a therapy to put focused oxidative stress on these cells with the idea of pushing them over the edge, killing them. And therefore, I have recommended to everyone who's asked me for the last 5 years, should I take Protandim if I've got a cancer diagnosis, I'm about to undergo chemotherapy or radiation therapy? And my conservative response has been, because this is controversial, some scientists argue, don't do it because you may protect the cancer. Others have said, do it because you may protect the other tissues more than you protect the cancer. We didn't really have a definitive answer. This paper says activating NRF2 actually sensitizes the tumors to radiation and to chemo. So it's going to have a bigger effect. Okay? And the other part of that title is just as important. NRF2 activators are chemoprotectors and radioprotectors for normal organs. So imposing a NRF2 activator changes the way that tumors and normal tissues respond to radiation, and it does it in the best possible way. It makes the radiation more effective at eliminating the tumor and less effective at causing damage to the rest of your body that really needs to survive. Right. So again, what's my point here? This is a changing scenario. Every week I do these searches myself. I look at the most recent new papers that have just hit the press, and this is the kind of thing I learn. And it changes the way I view Protandim. I said what I say today about it is very different from what I said 4 or 5 years ago, and this is precisely the reason. We're in the middle of a rapidly changing field, and we need to stay tuned to this company and to sites such as PubMed.gov to get the latest information. So don't just sit back and say, I learned about Protandim a year ago, I'm going to use what I learned then. You need to keep at it. I wish it were simpler, but it isn't. It's complicated, so hang in there. Do your best to keep up with this. Do your best to use this as an impressive tool. If you sit down with someone who's trying to decide, should I take this supplement or another supplement, a competing product perhaps, flip open your laptop, type in PubMed.gov and say, what's the other supplement you're concerned about or considering? Type it in. Now, some of them actually do have peer-reviewed published studies, not many. Not many products. Most products you type in, you get no hits at all. It's not there. And they may say, well, the company says on their website it does this, it does that. Okay, if it's true, they should submit it to a journal. They should get a peer-reviewed published paper. Then it will mean something. All right? So use these tools. They are very, very powerful. The second part of this, my stay tuned theme, is stay tuned with Protandim. And I'm using a slightly different definition of tuned in this case. But I think it works well. And I'm going to interject one slide here. I know there are a lot of new people in the audience who haven't heard me talk before. It's always a dilemma because I know there are new people. Should I go back to square one and use this time to reiterate what Protandim is, how it works? And my concern is there's a lot of new stuff I want to talk to you about. And so there's a dilemma. Do I try to bring everyone up to speed? Maybe the best solution, if you're new, look at the website, look at some of the previous presentations that may start at square one and fill you in. But for those of you who are new to this group, let me explain what Protandim is and what it does. Protandim is a NRF2 activator, and I realize that doesn't say anything to you guys if you're not a biochemist or have a PhD in some biomedical science. But I'm going to tell you very briefly what a NRF2 activator is and what it does. It can be viewed as a biochemical wake-up call. Literally, these substances are messengers And the way protandem acts, and many of you have seen this before, but this is the single summary slide of what protandem does when it approaches a human cell. And so in the upper right there, you see something labeled protandem. You've just taken a protandem. It's found its way into your bloodstream. It's reaching every cell in your body. And when protandem approaches any human cell, there are receptors on the surface of that cell. It's the analogy I use. It's like protandem steps on your front porch, and it rings your doorbell. What happens inside that cell is there's a change occurring, just like when your chime goes off or your doorbell rings. Pushing the button outside has caused a change inside. In this case, an enzyme has been activated. An enzyme is a machine that does something chemically within the cell. In this case, it's a kinase. You don't have to remember that. And here it's signified by being activated. It turned yellow, but now it's turned on by protandem. What does it do? Well, the important player here is that little red circle labeled NRF2. That's the biochemical messenger that needs to send information to the DNA in the nucleus of every cell in your body. And it's being held outside. The messenger is stuck to a blue protein there called KEAP1. And that complex is modified by this kinase. And what you can see is a little yellow group was added to NRF2. It's been chemically modified. So that activated enzyme caused by protandem ringing the doorbell, if you will, has modified NRF2, changed its structural shape. It looks different to the blue protein that's holding it. And as a result, the blue protein lets go of the NRF2. The blue protein, by the way, is stuck to the skeleton of the cell, so it's outside the nucleus. And that's where it's been holding NRF2. Now that NRF2 has been modified, it's released by the blue protein, and it's free to diffuse into the nucleus of every cell where the DNA resides. The DNA is the master blueprint for that cell, contains the plans for producing everything that cell needs to make. When protandem goes in there, when NRF2 goes in there, it now has access to 25,000 genes that are in the nucleus of every cell in your body. And about 400 or 500 of those genes have receptors where that NRF2 can bind and act. You can think of it as a key and a lock, or you can think of it as an electrical switch that gets flipped. The NRF2 finds the 500 genes that it can modify. It binds to them. It turns on that gene. And the end result is all 500 of those genes upregulate the thing that they encode, the blueprint for which they are for some product that the cell makes. So in this case, protective enzymes are produced in response to protandem. That's how it works in a nutshell. The actual biochemistry is a little more complicated, but not much. Seriously, that's very close to the way I would explain this to my peers. That's what protandem does. It activates NRF2. The cell makes more of its protective survival-related enzymes. So here I'm using a slightly different twist on the theme, stay tuned with protandem. If you look up tune in a dictionary, which I did here, Merriam-Webster online, you type in tune, and you find that there's several definitions. It's to adjust musical pitch. Everyone's familiar with that. You can tune an instrument. You can tune a piano. It brings it into harmony. It's a way of adjusting something for precise functioning. So you can take your car into a mechanic and you can tune up the engine. It's to make more precise, more intense, or effective. And here at definition 1, the example given there is tuned her guitar. Okay, so you can tune something to the right frequency, the right pitch. And if you look this definition up a few years from now, I'm hoping at the bottom there may be an addition. As, for example, Grandma tuned her genome with protandem. right? Well, how is that going to work? Let me expand a little bit. A piano keyboard has 88 notes on it, and each note, you probably don't think about this even if you play a piano, but each note has an assigned frequency. You hit that note, you hear a tone that is a very precise frequency. Those are the actual frequencies for all 88 of those. They are defined. And if that key is not on that particular frequency, we would say that piano is out of tune, right? So let's suppose that in 1947, Grandma bought a brand new piano, and this is one chord from that keyboard, from the chord below middle C, so it's from low C to mid C, 13 notes. Each of them has a defined frequency, and when that piano was delivered to Grandma, every one of those 13 keys was right on, or very close to the defined frequency for each of those notes. And as happens with pianos, let's assume that for whatever reasons, Grandma's piano spent 50 years in the attic. And maybe the grandchildren discover it, bring it down, dust it off, and check it out. Well, after 50 years in the attic, things had changed. And if you hit those 13 keys now, you'll find that they're not on the precise frequency. The piano is out of tune and needs to be brought back into tune. It needs to be tuned up by a guy who knows what he's doing. He will bring tuning forks. He will listen very carefully, adjust each of those keys until it's back where it should be. And the same thing happened to Grandma, by the way, in those 50 years. If you look at her genome, and instead of 88 keys, we're looking at 25,000 keys in the genome, where each key is one gene. And to be properly functioning, if we looked at Grandma's genome when she was 20 years old, no oxidative stress to speak of, those genes would have been in tune. These are the 400 genes, and this is real data from my laboratory, from human cells, 400 genes that respond most to protandem being added to the culture medium. And the height of, there are 400 little bars here, and you can't see them individually, but the height of each one tells you how frequently that gene is being expressed, how often that blueprint is being called out of the nucleus of that cell and functionally translated into the product for which that blueprint encodes. This is the way those 400 genes are expressed when oxidative stress is low. So we could call this a properly tuned genome. Because you can't see the individual genes when there are that many, I've taken a little area in the center part of this randomly in that red box, which is about 63 genes, and we're going to look at that a little more closely. They're now spread out. You can see them individually. The name of each gene is on the bottom of the axis, and they don't mean much to you, and some of them don't mean much to me. Some of them, in fact, are of unknown function. We know the gene is there. We know its sequence. We don't fully understand what that gene does. But in other cases, we know exactly what it does, what disease it may be involved in. So this is, I think, 63 genes chosen just to be in the middle of that range. And this is how they're expressed when oxidative stress is low, specifically when protandem is in the medium. If we grow, and this is in a human cell line, if we grow these same cells without protandem under conditions that have oxidative stress, what do you think it looks like? It looks like that. Okay? So that's equivalent to Grandma's piano after 50 years in the attic. And the difference between that and this is protandem. All right? It's a dramatic illustration. And let me point out to you, too, how dramatically things have changed. Protandem was developed primarily to affect 3 gene products, superoxide dismutase, or SOD, catalase, and glutathione peroxidase. And the literature, as of 5 years ago, led us to believe that this could happen, this would happen with Protandim. And indeed, it did affect those 3 genes. What we've learned in the last 5 years is that it affects not only those 63 genes, but these 400 genes. All right? So 3 of those are SOD, catalase, and glutathione, or glutathione peroxidase. Have we realized that Protandim does a lot more than that? You bet. We went from 3 genes to 400 or 500 genes that we're now talking about. Each of those genes has its own story. And your eyes would quickly glaze over if I went through the first 200 of those. So what I'm going to do is give you an example on each end of the spectrum in the few minutes remaining. One of the genes that caught my eye when I looked at this entire 400 genes was at one end of the spectrum. That is, of all the genes that are downregulated, which one is downregulated the most? And this gene, called fatty acid binding protein 4, meant nothing to me at the time, was strongly downregulated by Protandim. And I'll show you the data in a moment. And so what do I do when I see something like that? Well, I go to pubmed.gov that I showed you earlier. I type in fatty acid binding protein 4, or FABP4, the name of that gene. And my question is, what is this involved in? Is it good to be high? Is it good to be low? What do we know collectively about fatty acid binding protein 4? And this paper appeared just in the last month. And it says that this one and a related gene, fatty acid binding protein 5, another gene, are related to the metabolic syndrome. All right, that's epidemic in this country. That's when people get older, they get obese. It involves inflammation. It involves atherosclerosis. It involves type 2 diabetes. It involves calcification of arteries. A lot of nasty things are related to these 2 gene products. The conclusions from this paper, I just kind of summarized. FABP4 and to a lesser extent FABP5 contribute to insulin resistance, which is part of type 2 diabetes, to atherosclerosis, hardening of the arteries, cardiovascular disease. Reduction of FABP4 provides a striking resistance to the development of insulin resistance and multiple features of the metabolic syndrome. All right, that's powerful. In this paper, they could lower FABP4 by genetic manipulations, things that we can't do to ourselves, but we can do to animals in a lab, provided resistance to metabolic syndrome. And at the bottom there, FABP4 is associated with metabolic syndrome, inflammation, coronary calcification in humans. What does Protandim do to it? On the left, you see the effect of Protandim on human cells in culture. The left bar is the control without Protandim. At 2 concentrations of Protandim increasing, you see an 85% reduction of this FABP4 gene product. The related one, FABP5, showed a 66% reduction in response to Protandim. Right? The higher this gene is, the more likely you are to get metabolic syndrome, calcified arteries, and the related bad things that happen. At the other end of the spectrum, another gene, and again, when I saw this one, this is one of the most potently upregulated genes by Protandim. The gene is named AKR1B10. That didn't mean anything to me, even though I'm a biochemist. It's a human aldoketo reductase, but I put it in PubMed to see what is this gene doing. Protandim strongly cranks it up. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? These 2 papers were published within the last year. Again, rapidly moving scenario. And look at this title. This gene, AKR1B10, promotes cell survival. Sounds good. by regulating lipid synthesis and eliminating carbonyls. Well, you may not know what carbonyls are, but carbonyls are related to T-bars, which you have heard before, lipid peroxidation products. The conclusions of these two papers is that this gene responds to free radical damage, which results in formation of toxic lipid peroxidation products. So that broadly is T-bars. More specifically, it's talking about one of those products, 4-hydroxynonenal, 4-HNE, which may ultimately lead to cell death. These aldehydes damage the DNA. They can cause mutations. And this gene the gene product efficiently catalyzes the reduction of 4-HNE, protecting cells from toxic effects. What does protandem do to this gene? The one on the left is the control. And here you see two concentrations, a very low and a higher concentration of protandem, a 3,200%, 32-fold increase in the production of this gene product. And this is a good one. The more of this you have, the more protected you are, right? And each of those 400 genes can be analyzed in this way. And I have to tell you, I haven't made my way through all 400 of them, but I spend hours and hours ferreting out what those genes are, what they do, and the overall predominant theme is exactly what you've seen here. The genes that help our cells survive are upregulated. The genes that are doing the damage, causing the problems, are being decreased. So I think that's pretty much the end of what I have to say. I want to tell you a lot of these guys have contributed to what I've told you today. So thank you for your attention. I want you to stay tuned to LifeVantage. I want you to stay tuned to PubMed.com. I want you to stay tuned with Protandem. So thank you very much.
Good morning, Louie.
I clearly remember waking up one day and thinking that this is what every day is going to look like for the rest of my life. You know, wake up, get the kids ready for school, go to work, come home, feed the kids, go to bed, and do it all over again the next day.
The exact moment, I know when it was. I was watching my grandma get ready for work. She's 75 years old. She didn't want to go to work, but she had to.
Well, it hit us like a flash of lightning. Isaiah and I were working on what we were going to do after he retired and put numbers together, and turned out that we would need $2 million if we lived to be 80. Yeah, $2 million. There's no way, right?
Do you really want to know?
Yeah.
Okay. I was sitting on the couch watching a weight loss show with a carton of ice cream in my hands. Not just a scoop, mind you, but this was the whole carton. And I thought, okay, this is irony.
The economy tanked and my firm went under. and I'm not looking for a job, you know. I'm overqualified, and they got these college kids getting out of college that are willing to work for pennies. You know, I thought you work hard, you're loyal to the company, and everything's going to be fine, but that just wasn't the case.
I was excited about my job, you know, I was positive about it. It was the job I always wanted to have, but then I realized that all I was doing was working. Long hours, weekends, and one day when I was in the bus, I saw this park, beautiful park, families playing, and I realized I never do that anymore. What can I do so I can live today and not wait for some unknown future so I can start living my life?
You know, I had this degree from an amazing university, all my friends did, and we thought that when we got out of college that we were going to be able to find a job just like that. And that wasn't the case. You know, we got out, couldn't find a job in our field, and that was when I decided that something needed to be different.
Can you believe 70% of people in the U.S. won't be able to retire, like my grandma? It made me realize that I needed to do something different for my family outside of that broken system.
I had to take control.
I just knew something had to change, you know?
Nobody was going to determine my worth but me.
A coworker of Isaiah told him about LifeVantage.
So how I heard about LifeVantage? I could tell you what was on my kitchen counter that day. Loan papers. You know, I was literally about to take out a loan for $500,000 to buy a franchise. So yeah, I was interested in the network marketing business model.
Well, for me personally, it was the nutrigenomics thing. My degree is a nutritional science degree, so to hear about a company studying how nutrition affects our genes, I mean, yeah, I wanted to know more.
I was just immediately impressed by how refreshing they were as a company. You know, they weren't overpromising, they weren't just trying to sign everybody up.
Oh, yes. I had friends invite me over for dinner before and then just drop the hammer on me. Hey, I've got this opportunity that I want to tell you about, you know, and this presentation. And it was always about how I'd become a millionaire in a month. And it was never about the actual products that they were selling because the products weren't worth talking about. But LifeVantage was different.
Even over the last 10 years, businesses had changed drastically. And that same old model just wasn't holding up. I mean, the largest taxi company in the world doesn't even own a cab. The most watched videos, they're not even on TV. So, you know, when I saw LifeVantage, it was a different sort of network marketing company. I mean, I remember network marketing from when I was a kid, and this was definitely not that same old model.
I didn't really like network marketing companies, and I don't know if I can say that. You can edit that out if you want. But it's because I didn't really know how they worked. I'm already networking and I'm already sharing things that I like with people I love. So if I can make a living out of it, it's even better.
Why I hadn't thought of starting my own business? Actually, I did. I did think about it most every day in the bus. But the ideas that I was exploring were either risky or they were not solving the problem of me missing out on my kids' lives, on my life, too.
At the beginning, I was very nervous. I had never run my own business. I didn't know what to expect. I had a headache about it all, but with LifeVantage, there were no logistics to worry about. I didn't have to worry about where to house my inventory, where to produce my inventory. I mean, I didn't even have to worry about the shipping.
When we first started out, we told ourselves just whatever we make, go straight into retirement and maybe we can make a few extra bucks.
Actually, I wasn't really sure if the business thing was really for me at first, but at the very least, these products were something I needed, as well as my family. Actually, I wanted to tell everybody.
I learned about Protandem and how it was the result of a huge scientific breakthrough in something in our bodies called NRF2. It's actually a protein in our genes.
Oh yeah, I mean, Harvard, LSU, Ohio State, University of Colorado, Denver.
Texas Tech, Virginia Commonwealth, Colorado State.
Free Radical Biology, the American Journal of Physiology, Circulation. I read them all.
I even watched ABC Primetime, NBC Today show. I mean, I wanted to know everything, and it was indisputable.
This product was proven over and over again.
Well, the study showed that Protandem was literally combating the effects of aging at a cellular level.
Supporting our body's ability to repair oxidative stress back to how it did when we were kids.
And you know what? Everybody's been asking me that. 4 weeks ago, I started Physique,
and I was able to drop the rest of my baby weight, and I feel better. And my friends, they were about to slap me if I didn't tell them what I was doing. I mean, they wanted to know, and they started buying from me, and then people started buying from them. And so really, I like to say that the business part of this found me.
Just as soon as I realized that I could have a business and it helped people, I mean, everybody says that they want to help people, you know, but we really do. I really help people.
Yeah, for me, it was a big deal that we were a global public company traded on the NASDAQ. I mean, just knowing that we hold ourselves to a higher standard of responsibility, of quality, transparency, and that was important to me.
Well, yeah, I knew what I was getting into. This would take some work. I mean, any company that tells you you're going to get rich without lifting a finger is just misleading you. But the return that I saw from the time and effort that I did put in, it was incredible. And then the check started coming. I actually even have my very first check in a place where I can see it, just to remember how once upon a time life was passing me by. The first few checks started coming in, and I was excited. I mean, that's putting like groceries on the table or gas in the car, you know. And then as time went on, it started to build. And I started to learn what it was to get residual income, you know. So month after month, it continues to grow.
You know, I like feel that I'm in love with my mailbox because I get checks every week. And not only that, but also every month I'm getting checks for things that I was doing like a year ago.
Well, it wasn't huge, of course, when we first started, but we started making enough to pay things like groceries and rent, and last month we even took a vacation. And now we have a retirement, right?
Well, my favorite thing is when they ask me, so what do you do for a living? And I tell them, I help people. And I do. I help people retire. I help people be happy. That's my job. That's my favorite part.
Yeah, I mean, with a franchise, I mean, really, I would just be managing someone else's business. But with LifeVantage, this is my business, and it's how I support my family. But I also get to live my life. You know, I get time to spend with my family and my kids, and I'm present now, rather than my mind being somewhere else.
Hey, I feel like this is the first time in our lives that we don't wonder what our future is going to look like.
It's a group, you know, I'm not alone. I love it. I'm not alone, and I don't have to worry about people trying to climb over me to get ahead, or people hoping that I fail within the company. It's the people that I work with now actually care about my success. You know, they care about me succeeding within this company, and yeah, I love it.
Well, we're helping each other. We're building each other's businesses, and we're supporting each other. I mean, I've never felt anything like this.
LifeVantage is just great. I mean, I love it that they are never content with just standing still. I mean, they could have said with this breakthrough with NRF2 that they were done.
Yeah, but they don't. And they didn't, and they won't. They keep researching, they keep innovating, and instead of focusing on fads, they're using nutrigenomics to create products that people love and that people actually use.
A science that's using nutrition to improve our genes has paved the way for our True Science skincare line, our Axial Smart Energy drink line,
the Physique Smart weight management system, and now Protandem Nerf 1. And really, I think this is just the start.
That's the community I join, a community that keeps on researching, keeps innovating. That's why we're a leader of the nutrigenomic field, because we keep building on our research.
My favorite part is that I get to be with my kids. I get to help people. I just love how much I love my job. Well, if you can even call it a job.
And along the way, we get to make the world a better place today.
Well, it's not a job if it's something you believe in. It's a life.
Well, she says we're getting healthy and wealthy. I just call it freedom.
I don't have that trapped feeling anymore, you know? I have time, I have choices, and I'm happy. Yeah. I'm actually happy.
In the next few minutes, I will review the LifeVantage compensation plan and share with you how to maximize the earning potential. Let's begin with our enrollment options. We offer 3 options to join as a business partner and earn commissions. The first option is our Platinum Pack for $1,200. For those interested in building your business quickly and maximizing the compensation plan, as well as the training offered at LifeVantage, this is the best option and the best value. The Platinum Pack comes with approximately $1,000 in wholesale products, as well as a variety of marketing and training materials. The Platinum Pack also includes your very first Elite Academy ticket, which is our quarterly training program for you to invest in your education and hit the ground running. Our second option is our Vantage Pack for $600. This pack comes with approximately $500 in wholesale products and also includes a variety of marketing and training materials for you to start sharing with others right away. Our third option is our Freedom Pack for $300. It comes with approximately $200 in wholesale products. The Freedom Pack includes a startup training kit but does not include marketing materials. All business packs include a personalized website and access to one of the first ever mobile app systems that will allow you to easily share with others information and videos detailing the LifeVantage product lines and our story. To maximize the compensation plan, you will need to purchase either a Platinum Pack or a Vantage Pack. Our Freedom Pack does offer compensation but does not qualify you for the maximum bonuses. Our first bonus is our Smart Start bonus. This bonus pays you each week when you enroll others on business packs or as a preferred customer, giving you the ability to earn commissions right away. For example, when you enroll someone on a Platinum Pack, you will receive $500. When you enroll someone on a Vantage Pack, you will receive $250. When you enroll someone on a Freedom Pack, you will receive $125. When you enroll a preferred customer, you will receive 30% commissions from their orders that month. Each month, continue to maintain 200 points in personal volume, which can come from your personal preferred customers, your retail customers, or your personal orders. This will qualify you to be paid at the maximum percentage available to you on all bonuses. Our next bonus is our second level Smart Start bonus. This is paid to you weekly on any business pack sold by any of your personal business partners during that week. By helping others, you are rewarded. For example, when they enroll someone on a Platinum Pack, you will receive $50. When they enroll someone on a Vantage Pack, you will receive $25. When they enroll someone on a Freedom Pack, you will receive $12.50. Next, we have our monthly bonus pools. These are designed to help you with setting goals for your business by paying you when you reach these goals. First, we have the Smart Start pool. This pool is 5% of all new enrollments for the calendar month and is divided between those who qualify. When you reach 1,200 points from personal enrollments during the calendar month, you will qualify for 1 share in the Smart Start pool. You can earn additional shares for every 1,200 points from personal enrollments during that calendar month. Next is the Platinum Pool. This pool is 5% of all Platinum Pack sales for the calendar month. When you reach 5,000 points during the calendar month, you will qualify for 1 share in the Platinum Pool. Like the Smart Start Pool, you can earn additional shares for every 5,000 points from personal enrollments during that month. When you reach the goal of a Platinum Pool, you will automatically qualify for 4 shares in the Smart Start Pool. Points can come from any combination of personal enrollments of business packs and preferred customers. For example, when you enroll someone on a Platinum Pack, you will receive 1,000 points. Enroll someone on a Vantage Pack and receive 500 points. Enroll a Freedom Pack and receive 250 points. Customer points will vary based on the products they order. Next, we have our Royalty Bonus. This is really the bonus where you are going to create a wealth-generating asset for yourself. Most people don't get involved with LifeVantage to simply enroll one person after another, but rather to earn a percentage of every product purchased throughout their entire organization. Since our products are consumable, they are reordered month after month after month. This allows you and other business partners in your organization to receive royalty commissions on the products purchased by both customers and business partners. providing you a wealth-generating asset that will pay you month after month after month. Next, we offer team support bonuses. These bonuses are designed to ensure that each business partner receives the support they need to reach their goals. Our generational matching bonus pays you to support your team. When someone you've enrolled receives a royalty check, you will receive a 10% matching bonus. For example, if they receive $2,000 in monthly royalties, you will receive a matching bonus of $200. This bonus pays you a 10% match on everyone you have personally enrolled, as well as 5% on everyone they've enrolled, a 5% match on everyone they've enrolled, a 5% match on everyone they've enrolled, and a 5% match on everyone they've enrolled, for a total of 5 generations. So as you can see, there is an incentive to support the team. We also offer you the ability to earn commissions on the global sales of the entire company. This is our elite pool, a unique bonus that unites our company and provides leadership across the globe and creating a culture of Team LifeVantage. For this bonus, we place 4% of total global sales into a pool and divide it into 4 parts. This is paid to our top elite ranks and Master Pro 10s. As you can see here, 1% is shared between the Pro 7s, 8s, 9s, and 10s. Another 1% is shared between the Pro 8s, 9s, and 10s. 1% is shared between the Pro 9s and 10s. And 1% is shared with the Master Pro 10s. This bonus not only encourages the behavior to support our business partners, it's also a really great way for you to begin to earn life-changing income. In addition to earning income with our LifeVantage compensation plan, we also offer the My Life Venture program. The My Life Venture program is about living life at its best, making memories that matter, and doing it on your terms. LifeVantage equips you to set goals and make them real. With My Life Venture, the rewards are up to you. We offer several options. For example, many have chosen to receive the title and keys to a brand new customized Jeep. You may also choose an all-expense paid trip, $25,000 in cash, and so much more. The LifeVantage Business Opportunity and Compensation Plan offers you the ability to earn extra money, replace your income, and provide life-changing wealth for generations to come. The choice is yours. Reconnect with the person that invited you to take a look at this video. Their resources will help you begin your LifeVantage journey and start you on the path to freedom.
Really quite an honor at this time to be working with a doctor like Dr. McCord. You know, the information that he has put out is published in some of the most well-respected, scrutinized, peer-reviewed literature, like, for example, Free Radical Biology and Medicine, an incredibly powerful journal. But these articles and these studies that he has published really make it clear that this is very, very powerful chemistry.
For Dr. McCord's discovery of superoxide dismutase and his contributions in free radical biology, he was awarded the Elliott Cresson Medal. Dr. Joe McCord has devoted his life's work to the study of free radicals, their role in aging, and the many problems associated with aging.
Our bodies are producing hundreds of millions of free radicals at any given time. And the notion that we're going to put out that fire or quench that number of free radicals with a single capsule of, for example, vitamin E or vitamin C, really, when you think about it, doesn't make much sense. Rather, the approach is to turn on the genes to make huge numbers of copies of antioxidant chemicals in our body. Things like catalase and superoxide dismutase and glutathione
that are designed to be antioxidant supplements probably are no longer needed because Protandim solves that problem in a much more effective way.
So the danger of these free radicals when they're produced as a normal part of our physiology is they induce what is called oxidative stress. And we can consider oxidative stress to be essentially rusting of the human body. And it's not just the parts, but we actually damage our DNA. Really quite an honor at this time to be working with a doctor like Dr. McCord. You know, the information that he has put out is published in some of the most well-respected, scrutinized, peer-reviewed literature, like, for example, Free Radical Biology in Medicine, an incredibly powerful journal. But these articles and these studies that he has published really make it clear that this is very, very powerful chemistry.
For Dr. McCord's discovery of superoxide dismutase and his contributions in free radical biology, he was awarded the Elliott Cresson Medal. Dr. Joe McCord has devoted his life's work to the study of free radicals, their role in aging, and the many problems associated with aging.
Our bodies are producing hundreds of millions of free radicals at any given time. And the notion that we're going to put out that fire or quench that number of free radicals with a single capsule of, for example, vitamin E or vitamin C, really, when you think about it, doesn't make much sense. Rather, the approach is to turn on the genes to make huge numbers of copies of antioxidant chemicals in our body. Things like catalase and superoxide dismutase and glutathione.
That are designed to be antioxidant supplements probably are no longer needed because Protandim solves that problem in a much more effective way.
So the danger of these free radicals when they're produced as a normal part of our physiology is they induce what is called oxidative stress. And we can consider oxidative stress to be essentially rusting of the human body. And it's not just the parts, but we actually damage our DNA. The very genes that make us who we are to some degree are damaged by the process of oxidative stress, meaning that we can't heal properly and our bodies are more prone to aging.
We found, as many other scientists had documented, that there is a progressive increase in T-bars in your blood the older you get. When these same people took Protandim for 30 days, the age-dependent increase in lipid peroxidation was completely eliminated. After Protandim, we could no longer distinguish the 80-year-old from the 20-year-old.
This is the paper that showed the synergy. The synergy of Protandim caught us all by surprise. It was far more than we hoped for. You might say, why'd you put 5 ingredients in Protandim? Why not just pick the best one? Our bodies don't let those ingredients in. Our guts keep out most of those ingredients. So you can get low concentrations of each of the 5, but not high concentrations. No matter how much you take, you're limited to a low circulating amount. What this slide shows is if you look at the individual contributions of those 5 ingredients, control is nothing. Ashwagandha is the first ingredient, essentially nothing by itself. Bacopa, nothing. Green tea, that's actually negative a little bit by itself. Silymarin, okay, something there. And curcumin, also negative. You put those all together, and you get the red bar on the right. That's what synergy is. A lot of people may look at the label. They may say, well, I've heard of several of these things, and I've been taking curcumin for the last 3 years. Why do I need to take Protandim, which may be more expensive than my bottle of curcumin? This is the reason. You can't do it with curcumin alone. You can't do it with any 2 of those. All 5 of those contribute to this powerful synergy in this particular endpoint, 18 times more than we expected to see by the sum of these individual low concentrations of the ingredients. This paper also showed that glutathione is dramatically increased, nearly 4-fold, by treating cells with Protandim. And it's not because Protandim contains the precursors you need to make glutathione. It doesn't. How's it working? It's causing the enzymes that make glutathione to be produced. That's the part that's rate limiting.
We've got to have the hard science behind products that we recommend. And unfortunately, there are a lot of products out on the market today that do not have the science that they need. Protandim has the science that you can depend on.
Hi, my name is Stacy Steffes, and I'm here to present Dr. Alice Reed, who's my doctor. I'm very fortunate that I have a traditional internal medicine physician that also doesn't only bring to the table all of her experience and all of her studies, but she also looks to the other side and keeps her hands in the wellness side of it as well, even though she is very particular about it. So I would like at this point to introduce Dr. Reed.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you, Shirley. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I know it is Friday night, so I appreciate everybody taking the time out. I am Dr. Alice Reed. I am internal medicine, and I'm traditional internal medicine. Have been out at the beach now 21 years. And I have always had an interest in wellness. So naturally, I have lots of patients who bring me information, bring me ideas, and I go to the anti-aging conferences. But about 2 years ago, one of my patients, a retired anesthesiologist, Dr. Sharon Phillips, she came to me with Protandim. And she said, oh, you got to read about this. You got to get on this. This is something big. She was excited. And so I said, well, let me see it. And I look at it, and I look at the ingredients, and I say, well, I take most of that, and they're good herbs. That's a real good product. That's great. And then I found out it was network marketing, so of course I said, oh, I'm not doing that stuff. Don't get me involved in that. And fortunately, she kind of stayed on me. She stayed on me, and every time I saw her, she told me about Protandim. And then Gabe Pearson, who is the fellow who brought Protandim to Jacksonville for us, he brought Joe McCord, we just saw in the video, to University of North Florida, UNF. And so it was October about 2010, and she came in the office and said, you've got to go to UNF, you've got to go see Joe McCord, Dr. Joe McCord speak about this product. And I said, oh, okay. Well, it's Tuesday night. I'm whiny. It's school night, as I call it. And I call my husband, Bill, and I say, we got to go to UNF tonight. We got to hear this guy talk about this product, this network marketing. I'm extremely negative. But we go. We get in the car and we go. And I get there, and we're sitting in our little seats, and out walks Joe McCord. And as he is on the video, he's got a presence. And he just starts talking about oxidative stress and his research and Protandim. And I'm on fire. I am just so excited. Have just returned from the anti-aging conference in Orlando, the A4M. Big thousands of people, big stuff, and they talk about genetics and changing your genes and putting your stem cells in the deep freeze and all this kind of outside the box conversation. And a lot of it was genetics and having your genes do the work. So after I'm listening to this, I said, wow, this is just amazing, divine intervention. So we call Sharon immediately, we go home, and we start taking the product. And we took the product for about 3 months, and I noticed that I had more energy, and my menopause fog was gone. I was sleeping again, and I was like, wow, I really feel better. My husband's blood pressure was down. He's now on 1/4 of his dose. His blood sugars were down. His blood sugars weren't high, but they were a little above 100, 115, and now they're in the 80s. And his creatinine, actually, which was about 1.2, is down to 0.8. So I was pretty impressed with all this, and I said, wow, this is a great product. Fortunately, we had the good sense to start also doing the business, and I basically leave that up to my husband. He does a great job with the business. So I am forever thankful to both Gabe Pearson and Sharon Phillips for bringing this to me. But a very, very good product. So what I want to start with is the oxidative stress. Now, we used to call that in the 70s free radical damage. Everybody talked about free radicals. Our body makes 13 sextillion free radicals a day. That's 13 with 26 zeros after it. So free radical damage is everywhere, and we've always talked about that, and we combat that with antioxidants. Now, what we didn't know, and what Joe McCord discovered, is that we have a set of genes that makes antioxidants. Those are the survival genes. They make antioxidants, antifibrotics, and anti-inflammatories. So when we are young, we have a set of genes that is working for us, combating 1 million free radicals per second for us, and thus neutralizing the free radical damage. Because what happens is when your free radical damage is high and your antioxidants are low, that difference is called oxidative stress. And that's now the buzzword. As opposed to free radical damage, we use the term oxidative stress. And as he mentioned in the video, oxidative stress is linked to hundreds of diseases, probably almost all diseases, and it is the cause of gene mutations, inflammation, etc. So the goal is to decrease oxidative stress by neutralizing your free radicals with the antioxidants. So as I said, when we were young, we had a set of genes that poured out antioxidants, combating 1 million free radicals per second, really giving us a chance on that 13 sextillion number. But somewhere along the way, in our 20s, that process kind of peters out. So Joe McCord, as he spent the last 40 years in the lab trying to figure out how to wake up that process. And in the 90s, they discovered that inside your cell, there's a messenger called a NRF2 messenger, a messenger that speaks to your DNA and actually is the one that did that work. Would go to your DNA and tell your DNA to kick out all those great genes, the survival genes, the antioxidant products, and also kind of calm down the bad genes. And that's why when we're young, we don't age. We grow and grow and we're healthy. So what has happened is everyone has been trying to discover how to wake up this NRF2 pathway and do that. Well, that is Protandim. So people go, well, what is Protandim? This is too good to be true. I can't believe this video. Protandim is a NRF2 activator. It is not an antioxidant. It is a natural product that tells your DNA to make your God-given antioxidants at the tune of 1 million per second. So that is what Protandim is. And this is not something that Protandim made up. The NRF2 messenger was discovered in the 90s, and there are other pharmaceutical people trying to figure out how to wake up this NRF2 pathway, and Protandim has done it. Protandim is 5 nutraceuticals. It's turmeric, which has been around for centuries, anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer properties. Green tea, also been around for many, many years. Milk thistle, fabulous for cleansing the liver. 2 herbs, ashwagandha and bacopa. And those are very good herbs for adrenal stress and mental clarity. So those are the 5 nutrients in Protandim. They're very low doses. They're synergistically combined. So as I was saying to Sharon, Dr. Phillips, I was saying, I take all those individually. That doesn't how it works. It's the synergy of the way he's put it together in the nutraceutical product. And that is what Protandim is. Now, people will say, well, that's just too good to be true. I don't believe this. This is crazy. We send them to PubMed.gov. PubMed, publicmedical.gov, government, PubMed.gov is the NIH website. The NIH is the National Institute of Health. That's where all our research and data is. If you were to actually go to PubMed.gov and put in oxidative stress, you're going to get close to over 100,000 articles on oxidative stress and disease. So we send people to PubMed.gov and put in the search box Protandim. Protandim has 11 peer-reviewed studies. 11 peer-reviewed studies. Peer-reviewed studies, P-E-E-R, peer review, those are studies done by, obviously, your peers. They're peers to Dr. Joe McCord, other PhDs, other MDs who are doing research. And he sends his data to these individuals. They're not even together. They're in individual places. And they all review his data. And all of the individuals involved have to agree with the results for it to be peer-reviewed and to be published. So Protandim has 11 peer reviews. If you go to PubMed.gov and put in Protandim, you're going to start with the most recent and go backwards. So I'm going to call the first peer review actually the most distant peer review. And that peer review, the first 3 peer reviews that were ever written on Protandim, describe exactly and prove exactly what I just told you all. The first peer review proves that Protandim, in 30 days, decreases oxidative stress 40% in 100% of mammals. They measure oxidative stress by T-bars. T-bars is a peroxidase measurement. We know that high T-bars has always been linked to cardiovascular disease. So Protandim in 30 days was proven by measuring T-bars to decrease oxidative stress 40% in 100% of mammals, 100% of the time. It also showed in that first peer review that within 120 days, which is 3 months, which is usually about the time people really start to notice a difference, that the SOD, superoxide dismutase, and catalase, 2 of the biggest antioxidants we have that our DNA makes through Protandim, that is upregulated at 30 and 40%. So this is all proven in the first peer review study. The second peer review proves that it is the synergy of the 5 products. It is the way he put them together, the strength and the amount that he used, the synergy of the product that makes Protandim a NRF2 activator. They tagged the NRF2 pathway and saw that Protandim lit up that pathway, and it was proven to be a NRF2 activator. So when I was saying, I take all that, that is not going to do it. It's got to be in the perfect synergy, and there are patents for that. So we have 4 patents on that synergy of those 5 products. The third peer review is a great one. It proves that Protandim increases glutathione 300%. Now, glutathione is probably one of the biggest antioxidants. Glutathione is huge, or I should say the absence of glutathione is huge in movement disorders, Parkinson's, any learning disabilities, autism. So glutathione is huge. People are trying to get glutathione all the time. When you go to these anti-aging conferences and you go into the expo, there are several people trying to sell you glutathione. Glutathione is a very big molecule. It's very hard to absorb. So people try to get it through IV injections or nebulizers, but glutathione is huge. And Protandim stabilizes the enzyme that converts to glutathione and thus upregulates glutathione 300%, and that is proven in the peer review, the third peer review. The other peer reviews are studies done with both rats and mice. There are studies with rats and pulmonary hypertension. There are studies with mice and muscular dystrophy. There is a study with mice and skin cancer, the fourth peer review. They took the mice and they divided them in two groups. And in one group, they divided that into two groups. In one group of them, they gave just normal mice feed. The other group, they gave Protandim, and those mice did fine. Over here, they divided up the group, normal mice feed, Protandim, and they painted these mice with toxic carcinogenic product. The group of mice in the normal feed got covered with multiple skin tumors, 100% of the mice. The group of mice with the Protandim feed got covered, only 60% were covered with tumors, and it was markedly less number of tumors. That's pretty impressive that 33% of the mice did not get affected at all by the carcinogenic product. And LSU is continuing to do a lot of skin cancer studies, so I think that the skin information is going to come out to be very impressive. One of the other peer reviews that I really find fascinating is we know that when you take a vein out of someone's leg for a bypass, you're taking a very low venous structure and you're turning it into an artery, putting it across their heart and making it an artery. That would be a lot of oxidative stress. We know that within a couple of weeks, that venous structure will get a little bit of thickening, about 50% thickening of the lining of that new product, that new structure, because of the oxidative stress. And we accept that, and therefore we have them on statins and aspirin and other products to try to keep that vein as stable as possible. Well, when they took a human vein and they bathed it in Protandim and they exposed it to that oxidative stress, turning it into an artery, there was zero thickening of the lining of the structure. So there was no intimal thickness. That's huge. That's a peer review, and that is huge. There are other peer reviews, and the most recent peer review just came out, and I have not reviewed it thoroughly, but it's going to be about coronary artery disease and the oxidative stress to that coronary artery disease. Patients on Protandim, there was a decrease in the damage to the lining of the coronary arteries. So that's going to come out as well. More and more is going to come out. There's going to be other studies coming out through the next several months to year on Protandim. So it's a fascinating, amazing product. And you can send people to peer-reviewed studies. So you don't have to tell them yourselves. You don't have to be the teller of all this important information. You can actually send them to PubMed.gov. You know, the pharmaceutical companies are not stupid. They are aware of this. This is a very big breakthrough, a NRF2 activator. One of the pharmaceutical companies, Abbott, is putting billions of dollars into a product called bardoxolone methyl. Bardoxolone methyl is in studies now in Jacksonville. It will be the first synthetic NRF2 activator on the market. There'll be another one. Biogen has one that they're working on as well. Bardoxolone methyl will go after diabetics with kidney disease. Both diseases that I see in my clinic, and I get reports from patients and friends that they see improvement in kidney disease and diabetes, just as I did with my husband's labs. So bardoxolone methyl will be an FDA synthetic drug. It will not be available to anybody except for if you are a diabetic with kidney disease. We have Protandim. We have the first NRF2 activator. It is all natural. It is available to we the people. We the people actually own it. You do not need a doctor prescription to get it. It is $40 plus shipping, so you know bardoxolone methyl is not going to be that. So I got to tell you, it's big, and it is happening. I get excited about it. I try to tell people this is an amazing product, and it's also an amazing company, amazing publicly traded company, upstanding executives. I have nothing but praise when I go to the meetings and the conferences. So I can't say enough about it. I can't say enough about the science, but I do think it's real important. NRF2 activator, not an antioxidant, but it makes your own DNA, make your God-given antioxidants at the tune of eradicating 1 million free radicals per second. So we have a way to combat that free radical damage and decrease our oxidative stress. So I will turn it over to Shirley. She'll talk to you about the business, but I just want to say that this is big, and it's happening, and it's exciting.
Thank you very much. It's really nice to see all of you all here. I hope that when you get out this evening, everyone will still be pleasant, because it's a pretty crowded room. My reason for being in this company is a very simple one. I'm a doctor. I'm not sure how Barbara and Chad and Mary got into it, but I said, what can I do to help my patients? And I had someone come along and tell me that there was a product that was being promoted that supposedly is going to be a revolutionary product in terms of its actions on the body, and that maybe the whole world ought to be on it. And so I took a look at him and I said, get out of here, Satan, I don't want to hear you anymore. But he was persistent. Yeah, I'm talking about you. He was persistent, so George Capote came back to me and said, look, what if I got you some science? And I said, well, if you got me some science, I will, at least because you came back, I will go read it. And I did. By the time I got through the next 2 or 3 months of reading the papers that I read, I was very, very excited. I was very, very excited because Dr. Blasini and I, he's a rheumatologist, and I work on problems every day that are called inflammatory in nature. And we all know that that's the basis of all disease processes. So I'm going to give you a little primer on disease. It starts this way. You take a cell which has a nucleus. This is the governing body of this cell. And that nucleus you might want to consider as being the general. And inside the cell are a bunch of organelles, or little organs, that are manufacturing for us the things we need. And inside the nucleus are little energy things called mitochondria. And these mitochondria need energy to operate, and they get it from the one thing everybody in this room has in common: oxygen. All of you are breathing, therefore all of you and I are the same. The oxygen is combusted, and when it's combusted, it produces what are called free radicals. And free radicals are the byproduct of the utilization of oxygen in the cell. Now, that is the basis of all disease. The day you were conceived, you started getting mom's blood. God bless her, we all love our mother. But she also had free radicals in her blood. So we started out, and this was an epiphany to me, Raphael, when I started reading that endothelial dysfunction. That's when the lining of an artery is not working right, and they found it in the fetus. And I said, how can that be? Until I understood this process. Well, if you have an injury that occurs to any organ in our body, you get a reaction, and that reaction is called inflammation. So I'll write that word down for you because you read about it in the press all the time. And what is inflammation to us doctors? Inflammation is the immune system's or the body's response to the injury caused by a free radical. So if this guy, this unstable side product of breathing of oxygen, of combusting our food and combusting our intake of oxygen, is not neutralized immediately, it attaches any place it can. It doesn't care who it dances with. It'll go to the dance and dance with anybody, as long as they'll put their arms around them. So, in our cells, we have things called antioxidants being produced. Antioxidants. Being produced by these little organelles in here, which for the moment I'll call factories. And they're producing antioxidants in huge numbers so that we can neutralize the free radicals. But now think about it. We start out with a cell full of antioxidants and a tiny, tiny little bit of inflammation because we had it from mom. But as we go through life, this happens very, very slowly but progressively. And so at a point in time when we reverse the abundance of antioxidants because the general sent out a message and said make anti-inflammatories, we now have a situation with which we have a huge problem because we're not going to stop breathing until we die. And so we're going to keep combusting food, we're going to keep having oxidative stress, but we're going to have less and less antioxidant production to fight the battle. So there is a system in which these things are made in the first place, and it resides in a protein called NRF2, nuclear release factor 2. It has a much longer name, but I'll make it easy for you because that's what you're going to read about, NRF2. And it's stable and sits in there, and when we get a stimulus to that, it's called Protandim, the product, the master product of this company. It goes here, it's released. It's like a ship that's being held captive by its anchor. It's released, sends a message to the general up here and says, "Hey boss, we're really getting clobbered now. We've got such a rent in our wall. We got so many free radicals that we can't handle them. You need to reverse the engines in your factories down here, and you need to make antioxidants." And in fact, that's what Protandim does. Protandim, and I'm dumbing it down real easy for all of us because I'm not a very smart guy, so I've got to make it easy. I've got to understand how it works. This combination of herbs taken out of our own biosphere, where we have lived and breathed and evolved for all these years, has the ability to stimulate our intrinsic, means our own God-given, nature-given cells to make millions of molecules of antioxidants and enzymes immediately. Not a one-to-one reaction, but millions. So what happens is the amount of inflammation-producing products decreases, the amount of antioxidants increase, and we get marked decreases in inflammation. That's what I learned when I went into science. All of you understood that clearly?
Yeah.
Well, I still didn't believe it. So I went into my office and I told that young lady there, she's my nurse practitioner, we need to find out if this is true. So we ordered on our patients all the anti-inflammatory markers. And if it's correct, and my colleagues can correct me, that all disease is going to elicit inflammation which ends up in a scar, then we should see evidence of inflammation decreasing if we use this product. So, I'm not from Missouri, I'm from Ybor City, which is worse. And I'll tell you that the amount of inflammation that we saw in some patients was pretty average, and some was enormous, and some was barely visible. But every single one of those patients that we put on Protandim and remeasured their inflammatory markers all improved. Now, I'm not a real visual guy because I'm often accused of can't tell red from green, but I can see this army, this battle going on in a cell. And this battle is a battle that can only be won if we were able to somehow survive without using oxygen, but we can't. So we'll never win the battle. But what we can do is we can really, really suppress the rapid progression of disease, and we can really help patients enormously. The second reason I'm in this is because I work with a foundation, and the foundation does some worldwide things with impoverished people. And I thought, well, if this works, this is something I ought to be able to give a whole population of patients and delay the enormous amount of cardiac, cancerous, rheumatologic, and other problems that these folks are going to have, chronic diseases, until a much later time in their life. So I'm hoping that'll be the case. But this whole process is something that truly amazes me. And so my colleagues here in the room, I would say if you asked us 7 years ago, tell me about NRF2, we would say, what the hell are you talking about? And in fact, I've done that. Just last week, my foundation had a golf tournament, and I asked 3 of my cardiology colleagues who were there supporting the foundation, you heard of NRF2? Give me a beer, will you? So you're not going to hear it from your doctors very easily. And I feel very honored that we've got some doctors in the room today. Because what we doctors are all about is making sure that before we do anything, we do no harm. And if we're going to do some good, we need to know that there's evidence that good will be done. And I think at the end of the day, what we've learned is that these 4 products from this company all activate this immune process. They all activate the NRF2 system in one way or the other to produce large increases in catalase, superoxide dismutase, peroxidase, glutathione, all the big anti-inflammatory molecules. If you believe in fish oil, get baptized with this. Get confirmation with this. Go to communion with this. Because fish oils have not even 1/3 the power that this has in combating inflammation. So my little talk is over. If you asked me, should I take this? My answer is every single human being on this planet should be taking it. Because, we don't want organ transplants to do it. But if we take it at the beginning, we'll avoid perhaps the organ transplant. Thank you. Hi, so that's my story, sticking to it. I'll see you later. The reason I'm here tonight is because my partner George Capote came to me a few months ago, almost a year ago exactly, a little bit more, and said, I just heard about a phenomenal product that's going to change all of the medicine. And I said, okay, get out of here. I don't want to hear any more about it. He was really aggressive, and he kept asking me. So finally I said, okay, I'll tell you what, George, give me a couple months and I'll look at all the science, because he told me that there were published journals.
Dr. Chad Luxembourg, I'm an eye physician and surgeon. I've been in the company for 2 years, and I'm proud to be in LifeVantage. This is world-shattering information. It's unbelievable. I couldn't possibly communicate to you how important the whole thing is, but I'll tell you a little stuff. In 1928, a researcher in Scotland named Fleming was in his laboratory, and he looked down, and someone had left a sandwich next to a Petri dish that had a bacterial culture in it. And he looked down and he saw that the bacteria was dead where the sandwich was touching the dish. Now, most people would have picked both of the things up, thrown them in the garbage, and yelled at whoever left their sandwich there. But he was really smart. He said, why is this bread mold on my bread, my sandwich, killing the bacteria on this dish? And you know what he found? He found out that bread mold makes something that turned into penicillin. So in 1928, penicillin is discovered. You think that changed the world, having antibiotics? You think that was earth-shattering? That was very, very earth-shattering. And then it took till 1943 to have penicillin commercially available. So penicillin took a while to develop from that time when he saw the bread mold and the experiment in his lab. In 1999, the NRF2 pathway was discovered. Okay, we discovered a pathway. We knew for a while before that there was something called SOD that was very important in fighting free radicals in the cells, but we had no way of giving people SOD because it wasn't a molecule that would be able to be given in food or in a pill form or whatever. So really, knowing about SOD didn't really help SOD in the body, but we didn't know how to activate the pathway. But in 2003, some really, really smart people put 5 herbs together that were known to help people's health in Oriental medicine for thousands of years. Why did they pick those 5 together? I really don't know. I would love to find that out. Had they known that those 5 things and in the percentages they put together would have such an effect. But Protandim is put together in Vantage 2003. The really interesting thing is that in 2003, when they did the Protandim, they didn't know it worked by activating NRF2. Later on, they found out. They knew it worked, and that was really enough. But then they found out it worked by rejuvenating NRF2, because NRF2 is a pathway in the cell that was very well shown to you. I call it a thermostat for your waste treatment facility. When you have energy and products and you have waste, you have a factory. The cell is a factory. So if the cell is a factory and the waste treatment plant isn't working, you get pollution. And when you're young, your waste treatment plant works great. But as you get older, it kind of rusts and doesn't work as well. But if you can take something, and you can, called Protandim, and it rejuvenates the system to get the waste treatment going. In other words, it's a thermostat. You get free radicals are up because you have a lot of metabolism. The NRF2 says to the nucleus, we need more antioxidants. Everything is fine. If the NRF2 pathway doesn't work, you lead to all kinds of problems and diseases. So this is what you need to know about Protandim, NRF2, and all our products activate NRF2. Protandim is in the True Science Skin regimen. Protandim is in the Canine Health. And the Axio doesn't have Protandim, but it is an NRF2 activator because our incredible Chief Science Officer, Sean Talbot, put it together with his knowledge of how to activate NRF2. And the NRF2 science is the absolute forefront of medical experiments and technology. All the pharmaceutical companies are looking for NRF2 activators. We have like the best one, the cheapest and the safest, and it's incredible. Now, as an ophthalmologist, I recommend the Protandim for various things for my patients. But in reality, lately I've been saying that cellular stress leads to damage to cells, which leads to damage to organs, which leads to damage to systems, which leads to diseases. And really, everybody needs it. I don't have to just tell people they need it for their eyes. Sure, you need it for your eyes, but you need it for the blood vessels throughout your body. That's what we just heard about, the endothelial cells. There are blood vessels everywhere. If they're not working well, you have trouble with your kidney, you have trouble with your eyes, you have trouble with your heart, you have trouble with your muscles, you got trouble. So Protandim, necessary for all these things. Now, what have I seen in my practice? Well, we've had a couple of people with diabetes, and we recommend it strongly for diabetes because we know that it tends to lower something called hemoglobin A1C, and that is something that's crucial in the treatment of diabetes. And I had a couple of patients that we recommended it to, and within 3 months, their kidney function improved so much that they avoided dialysis. I spoke to their family doctors. They were on the verge of dialysis 3 days a week for the rest of their life. Life-changing event. And both patients, after 3 months of Protandim, had an increase in what we call creatinine clearance. That means their kidney function actually got better. It didn't stay the same, didn't get worse, it got better. Talk about the eye. Really interesting article out of a Spanish university in Madrid. NRF2 activation and oxidative stress in the aging eye. Talking about how oxidative stress, which is free radicals that are not combated properly by antioxidants, cause dry eyes, glaucoma, diabetic retinopathy, and macular degeneration. Well, how would you have something, wouldn't you love to have something that would help people, protect them against those things happening, or help them if they already have them? Talk about diabetic retinopathy, bleeding vessels, poor vessel formation, inflammation, scarring, destruction of the function of your eye. Because inflammation leads to scarring, leads to decreased function, just as we were already talking about the way Dr. Maniscalco said. So Protandim activates the NRF2 pathway, which gives you antioxidants and turns on genes that are anti-inflammatory, and even our patents say that our product is anti-inflammatory, and in one case lists that it lowers C-reactive protein, which is a measure of total body inflammation. So you know that's how it's working. So it's helpful for all of those things. My dad had macular degeneration. He got the wet kind, which is a leaky blood vessel, which leads to scarring and atrophy and lack of function. He needed a shot. Right after that, I joined the company, found out about Protandim. He never needed another injection. Most people need multiple injections in the eye when they get wet macular degeneration. He never had a recurrence. His vision went back from 20/80 to 20/40 and stayed that way the rest of his life for 18 months. And I believe it was the Protandim that did that. When I looked at the back of his eye, I saw less what we call drusen, or pigment accumulation from macular degeneration, than before he started Protandim. And the pigment accumulation is kind of scarring and destruction of the retinal pigment epithelial layer. So if you have less drusen because you're taking Protandim, that's miraculous. As a matter of fact, all of this is miraculous. As I always say, the only thing that's more incredible than the products from LifeVantage is the business opportunity from LifeVantage. So I'd like to end it right there, and that's how I feel.